Ancient yogis and Buddhist monks, for example, have always emphasized one word: observation. In order to observe something, we need to devote our attention to it, which means that when we give the right attention, we are able to manifest a desired quantum event in our own lives. So in this video, I'll share how you can use your attention to create the reality you want, because learning to direct your attention is the most powerful thing you can do as a co-creator of reality. So let's start now. Let's understand how our attention actually dictates the version of reality that manifests. But to understand this, we need to understand how energy flows. Every time you feel stuck in life, like you're working towards something that just doesn't happen, or similar situations keep coming up like a roller coaster ride, the same relationships you attract, it's important to understand where the energy gets stagnant. When energy can't flow, which is what needs to happen with energy, it becomes stagnant, and when it becomes stagnant, we experience the same circumstances. So what directs the flow of energy? Attention. Wherever attention goes, energy flows. Our focus and attention determine where the energy flows. What most people don't know is that the nature of our attention is made up of two main types: polar and non-polar attention. Polar attention has the power to attract and repel reality. Any problem, when turned on its side, becomes a solution, two different sides of the same coin, and that's what polar attention does. It attracts something while repelling something else. Now let's explore this further. In addition to polar attention, there is non-polar attention, which is completely neutral and has the power to dissolve reality. Now, in terms of the manifestation of quantum events in our lives, let's look at what this could mean. Imagine that we have two types of polar attention: positive attention and negative attention. When we think positively about something, life doesn't care about the true nature of our attention, it cares about the content, as I explained in the previous video. If we hate something, we will attract more events from it. Similarly, if we love something, we will attract more of what we love. This is the crux of the matter. For us human beings, we have been conditioned throughout our lives to operate in fear and survival mode because that has become our biology. We've been conditioned to survive first and foremost, and what is the most important and powerful way to survive? Eliminating and avoiding any threat to our survival. So we've been conditioned to live in this mode of protection, avoiding conflict, avoiding risk. Many of us have been shaped in this way. Because of this conditioning, we continue to experience more and more of what worries us. Think about what you see on the news, on social media, and why there is more spread of fear than anything else. This is how other influences can manipulate and influence us. There are so many proud people willing to go to war to protect something they love and are very proud of. While this is admirable, it often makes them blind to what is really going on, because it's very easy to make someone carry out desired actions when they're angry. It's just as easy to make someone carry out specific actions when they're afraid. So fear, anger, and pride are the states in which society keeps us trapped, keeping our attention focused on what makes us act in ways we don't always want to. For most people, they continue to experience the same types of relationships over and over again because they are holding on to past traumas. Their attention is more focused on avoiding the type of relationship they had before, which is why they continue to attract the same type of relationship and partner. Most people are traumatized by an event and fear that they haven't processed it correctly. This is where neutral or non-polar attention comes into play, but we'll talk more about that shortly. For now, we need to understand that there are two different types of attention: positive and negative. Life is only concerned with the content of our attention, with what we are paying more attention to. If we're living in a reality where this is our current situation and we're facing a crossroads in our life path, let's say it's a challenge at work related to a coworker, employee, or any other problem. If we choose to perceive it positively and the content of our positive attention is, for example, somehow this situation offers us an opportunity for growth, we can overcome this challenge and become stronger as a result. In this case, we are attracting the energy and reality that reflect our positive attitude. However, if we choose to look at the same situation negatively and the content of our negative attention is, "This is terrible, I can't believe this is happening, it's going to be a disaster, and there's no way out of it," then we'll be attracting the energy that reflects this negative mentality. It's important to understand that life doesn't care whether our attention is positive or negative. It responds to the content of our attention. In other words, if we think that in a way this will help us to grow, then the lifeline will shift towards a more positive lifeline. More of what we feel positively about will manifest. On the other hand, if we feel negatively about something and think that it's bad, then something bad will happen. Notice what's happening here. When we feel positively, our mind perceives the content as positive. When we feel negatively, our mind perceives the content as negative. How do you know that such a situation is bad? You're just assuming it because you've become afraid. Fear leads you to become more fearful. When we feel something, we try to justify the presence of that feeling by thinking of other things that could potentially make that fear stronger. But why do we do that? We are beings who feel, and when we feel something, we feel alive, so we survive. This is our biological condition. When we're in a state of fear, we start listing all the things that could potentially go wrong. And that's when we get into a spiral, because now that negative attention starts to influence the content of our attention. The fundamental issue here is that there must be a correspondence between the heart and the mind. When you feel something negative in your heart, the mind immediately starts generating negative thoughts, which in turn causes those thoughts to manifest. This moves you into a corresponding lifeline where more negative things happen. However, the crucial thing here is nonpolar neutral attention. When we perceive something that has happened to us with nonpolar neutral attention, it simply enters our lives and passes. It has no power over us. For example, in an unpleasant situation, you can simply look at it and accept it. There's neither positivity nor negativity towards it. You would continue on the same life path as before, nothing would really change, the situation would just dissolve. Most people resist their past traumas and fears by giving them negative attention. Think about how this happens. Whenever something unpleasant happens in the past, we try to run away from it because the feelings are intense and we don't know how to deal with them. When we run away, we're actually resisting it. And what happens when you resist something? It persists. You're giving it strength, and it exerts an opposing force on you. We spend our whole lives resisting all the things that have happened in the past that we don't like, and we live from that place of trauma. As a result, situations that confirm this trauma keep coming up. So, remember, there are always two sides to a coin. It's up to you. The choice of how to perceive something is 100% yours. Now that you understand this, let's talk about how to use it to create reality effectively. The first thing we need to do is combine polar and non-polar attention. This is crucial, so pay close attention. There are 3 main steps to using it, and if you follow it, all the energy you devote to that negative attention will dissipate, leaving you more energy to feed the positive version of reality you want to create. Let's talk about how this works. The first step is acceptance. When we are in a situation that feels like an abyss, that we are at rock bottom, we need to accept that this has happened. When we accept something, we can't be in resistance. You can't be in resistance and acceptance at the same time. Acceptance is the antidote to resistance. So please try to understand this. We are not accumulating energy. The only energy being used is to redirect, to get out of the way. Your goals really want to manifest. You're just in the way. You just need to get out of the way. For them to come into existence, we start with total acceptance of the current situation. Whatever problems are in your life right now, whatever you feel stuck in, or whatever your worst nightmare is, imagine that this has happened. You're totally on board with it happening, and you see how life goes on despite it happening. You're no longer worried about your worst nightmare, you're no longer haunted by it. This is absolutely fundamental because most people think, if I accept the worst case scenario, won't I be attracting it into my life? No, you won't. On the contrary, if you accept the worst case scenario, you will no longer be feeding it with the energy of your resistance. If you continue to resist it, you will continue to feed it, which makes it more likely to happen. But if you just accept it and get out of the way, that's where neutral attention comes in. Acceptance is neutral attention. To make a change in any area of our lives, we have to start with acceptance, total, complete, integral acceptance of this exact moment. We can't change the present moment, no matter how hard we try, because the present is constantly changing. When you try to grasp it, it has already become the past. There's no changing this present moment. What you can do, what is in your power, is to choose what you would like in the next moment. We tend to fool ourselves into believing that if something happens, we failed. We get attached, we identify with the things we do, we come up with the worst-case scenario and accept it completely. That way, you reduce all the importance. The second step is to realize how this setback or unfavorable event could potentially be a blessing in disguise. Any event that happens is a neutral event. We make it positive, negative, or neutral by the nature of our attention. Instead of looking at it as, this is bad, we can look at it as, how can this potentially be an advantage? How can this be good in my life? Now, what do I mean by a blessing in disguise? Sometimes, something happens to protect us. Maybe there's something bad in that situation that God or the universe is preventing us from experiencing. Maybe there's a reason why it happened. Have you ever considered that, like any event in your life, maybe this is happening for a reason? If you had not missed that bus, the bus could have been in an accident or something bad could have happened, and the universe is trying to protect you. How do you know? This is easier to do once you've already reached a state of acceptance. If you're in a state where the wound is fresh and something bad has just happened, don't expect yourself to look for blessings in disguise. Just reach a point of acceptance and understand that it really happened. When you reach a more neutral state, you can start to think about how this could potentially be positive. The final step is to continually redirect our attention to what is desired. If I'm in a state of total equanimity and acceptance, I'll have my attention freed up to completely choose what is desired. When you become really good at doing this, you will become unstoppable. Nothing can stop you. This process determines which life path you follow, which quantum event manifests, which quantum event you experience in your life, and it all has to do with your attention. There's a good reason why many ancient cultures and religions talk about attention, about paying attention to something, about observing something, being in a mode of observation. Here, we're combining both. We use nonpolar attention and then go into acceptance. This is neither good nor bad, we just accept that it happened. Then we start to think about the possible blessings in disguise, and finally, we come to the positive mode. When we are in a state of equanimity, this process is one of the most powerful tools we can use to create the reality we desire. As a co-creator of reality, attention is your most powerful tool. When you learn to direct it effectively, you can manifest the life you want. So, the message I want to leave you with today is if you feel bad about yourself today, allow yourself to accept that you're feeling bad, and once you're in a state of equanimity, you can start redirecting your attention to what you truly desire. Then you can focus on what's desired instead. But if you try to hide, repress, or suppress what you're feeling, it will come back to haunt you in the future. At this point, whatever you're doing can be a form of resistance. Even if you're just creating positive affirmations in the mirror, you're actually resisting feeling something by saying the affirmation. That's what might be happening. This 3-step method applied continuously has the power to completely change your life. When you learn to accept, redirect, and choose what is desired, you are releasing energy that was previously wasted on resistance. You are using your attention effectively to create the reality you want. Remember, to accept is not to resign yourself to defeat, but to recognize the present reality. It is in this space of acceptance that our vision becomes clearer and the journey to what we want reveals itself. When we embrace the worst-case scenario, we release the energy that was previously wasted fighting against it. And that's when our attention becomes the driving force for change. We redirect our focus to what we want, and reality reconfigures itself in response. As co-creators of our own reality, we are endowed with the ability to choose our path, shape our experiences, and define our destinies. The true transformation begins when we choose to direct our attention to what really matters in our lives. Move forward with confidence and purpose, for you are the architect of your own destiny. Thank you for embarking on this journey with me. If this video resonated with you, I invite you to like and subscribe to our channel. Share this video with others so they can benefit from this message, and don't forget to leave a comment below sharing your thoughts, reflections, and experiences. Thanks again for watching and for joining me. Take care and see you soon.